Hello, Internet. Welcome back to Driving and Dragons. And boy, did I slack off for a little while and just can't take a break when you're talking about tabletop role-playing games. A couple of things real quick. The starter is on its way for the 280ZX. Hopefully I will be filming the installation of the starter and its little maiden cruise as I move it from the storage to my office here for finishing up here in the near future. But for right now, we've got a little bit of good old-fashioned driving footage in the rural roads here in central Alabama. Of course, we've got the continuation of the You're Doing It Wrong series. Couple new things coming out. We've done Against the Grain. We've done session recaps. We're going to take care of a few things. We're going to follow up on the inspiration about how to play evil characters and have evil characters in your game. We're going to take a look at rolling stats, handling natural 20s and or maximum rolls, critical hits, that sort of thing. A few other things we're going to take a little peek at there, so I'm hoping that that series has a lot of useful information in it for everybody. But we got to go over the news of the week. And the news of the week, it's one of those things, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And Wizards of the Coast and anybody affiliated with them, it's amazing. So Wizards of the Coast just keeps like a just aircraft assault level A-10 Warthog Gatling gun pointed at their feet at all times. They shoot themselves in the foot in a way that is just baffling and insane. So it's so bad that somehow you manage to shoot yourself in the foot simply by being close to them. That's what they are. Wizards of the Coast is that guy at the range who is so unbelievably unsafe that he's not only a danger to himself, he's a danger to everybody around him. He doesn't just shoot himself in the foot, he shoots everybody in the foot. If you are anywhere close to Wizards of the Coast, count your toes. They're going bye-bye. Kiss them goodbye. So what happened this time? It's real simple. This is the 50th anniversary of Dungeons & Dragons, the granddaddy of tabletop role-playing games. And Wizards of the Coast has managed to do virtually nothing right throughout the entirety of the 50th anniversary. There's no good merch for it. Everything is rolling out poorly, out of sync, delayed. You would have thought the launch of 1D&D 6th edition, 5.5, whatever the hell they're calling it this week, would have come out at the same time. Of course, it hasn't. They're not going to finish releasing 6th edition stuff until next year, and they're just squandering away the 50th anniversary. And then we come to the auxiliary company, and that is WizKids. Now, here's one thing I want to put out there first. There's a lot of people who are saying, oh, this Wizards of the Coast decision. Wizards of the Coast did this. Wizards of the Coast did this. I have not heard that Wizards of the Coast made this incredibly foolish, stupid, and meaningless decision. This is, from what I understand, was a WizKids decision. Just so that we're all clear here, WizKids is a private company. They are not publicly traded. They are owned by National Entertainment Collectibles Association, which is also a private corporation. They are not affiliated with or owned by Wizards of the Coast or Hasbro. They're not a subsidiary of Hasbro or anything of that nature. They are totally separate. However, they are the ones who came out with the Red Warrior miniature, which is the classic warrior fighting a red dragon that is on the cover of the D&D basic set from 1983. And it is a portion of a very famous painting by Larry Elmore, who is, of course, one of the most prolific fantasy artists, really, of all time. He's up there with Frazetta. So, what did they do? How stupid is it? Well, let's take a look at the image in question here. All right. This is clearly, without question, a male fighter. I know that it's crazy to say these days, because of course, how do we know in this day and age when there's absolutely no such thing as male and female? And I mean, for all we know, he's attack helicopter. How dare we assume his gender? How dare we assume his pronouns? I mean, everything can be a woman or a man or a attack helicopter or a harvesting combine or a small furry animal or really anything. Just whatever you wake up and feel today. And that's the abject stupidity that we live in. But let's face it, in the real world, there's men and there's women. And that's it. There's men, there's women, and there's people who are pretending to be something else. This is a man. This is male musculature. And if you look at Larry Elmore's catalog, it's very obvious because he draws and paints very specific kinds of women. And it is very obvious. They have very obvious feminine features. If you want to go even further, Larry Elmore himself tweeted out that, quote, I recently was asked a question about the ancient red painting I did for the cover of the Red Box edition. Did you paint a male or female? It's a man. Gary didn't know what he wanted. All he wanted was something simple that would jump out at you. He wanted a male warrior. If it was a woman, you would know it, for I am pretty famous for painting women. For this specific painting, while I hide the face of the warrior so it is anonymous, it was painted as a man. You can interpret it however you want, for that is the magic of art. But I am answering a question that was asked without context. Now, the dragon, on the other hand, P.S., to be clear, the thing that I love about D&D was that anyone can be anything in this game, male, female, both, neither. It does not discriminate. It is a game of imagination. You can be and do whatever you want, unquote. The operative part of this is it is a man. It is a male warrior. He wanted a male warrior. It was painted as a man. Now, Larry throws out the bone of, hey, you can feel however you want to. You can think however you want to. That's the magic of art. The dragon, we don't know what sex the dragon is, etc., etc. But the warrior is a man. Unless you ask WizKids. Because WizKids very purposefully and very clearly came out and said, oh, we're answering the question. A long question here. And made it a female. A very ugly female that is extremely boxy and male, they have clearly added female traits to the front. The part that obviously was not painted. And we're very clear about it. In yet another revision of history by the people of the powers that be that come with Dungeons and Dragons. Because make no bones about it, while this decision may have not been a Wizards of the Coast decision, and while Wizards of the Coast does not have any ownership control or anything over WizKids, they made this decision with the blessing of Wizards of the Coast. Otherwise, Wizards of the Coast would have shut this down in a heartbeat. It would have not even been a question. This is really part of the problem that comes into all this. This is pandering. They are pandering to a specific base, which is bad. Aside from the fact that it's just bad business. You don't want to do things that piss off large sections of your fan base, or even make large sections of your fan base kind of hot cold towards you, just so you can pander towards some small portion of it. And make no bones about it, it is a small portion. All right, you don't want to draw that kind of controversy that is meaningless controversy to your brand for no reason and end up getting labeled one way or another. So why they did this is just baffling. It's baffling beyond belief because there was no need for it. There's plenty of powerful, iconic female characters that they could have gone with. I mean, let's just talk about Larry Elmore for a second. He did 90% of the artwork for Dragonlance. We got Goldmoon. We got Laurana. We got Kitiara. We have Chrysanthi. We have so many powerful female characters just in Dragonlance that Larry Elmore has done. You don't have to change the artist. You don't have to change the game, the medium, or nothing. All you have to do is make a figurine that's from one of the actual female characters. One of those true, powerful female characters, and everybody gets to be happy. This gender swap does nothing. And if you're really being honest, which I know that's extremely hard for the Jenny D type people to do, if you're being really honest, this is insulting to women. This is insulting to the people who want strong female characters. Because this is like Caitlyn Jenner getting Woman of the Year award. None of these female characters are good enough for us to put a strong female figurine out. We're going to have to take a male figurine, throw boobs on it, and call it a woman. This is the problem. This is where being transgressive for the sake of being transgressive comes out. That's what's happened these days, is that transgression has been mistaken for virtue and bravery, and it's a major problem. You are not being bold just because you're being transgressive. You are not being brave just because you're being transgressive. If you are being transgressive for a true purpose, it can be excusable, and it can be, hey, you're brave because you had to be transgressive in order to get this point across. You're not brave because you're transgressive. You're brave in spite of having to be transgressive. But that's been lost on this current generation. So that's what we've got here. It's just a slap in the face. It's an intentional slap in the face. Maybe it was a misguided ploy for some free press, but WizKids is really the one to blame for this. I mean, whether, Wizards of the Coast, of course, had to sign off on it, and Wizards of the Coast will always bear the blame for that. But make sure you pin the blame where it belongs and add WizKids to the shit list when it comes to where you're going to buy your next set of miniatures from. Because guess what? There's tons of companies out there that don't pull crap like this for cheap heat, that you can get miniatures that are probably better from it. So that's what I got to say on that. I will see you guys again here soon. Here in the next couple of days, we will be putting out my next video in You're Doing It Wrong. I'll see you guys next time.